Now is the time to talk about the core feature of Mind. As I've told you, Mind is not about the content, but it allows you to add content and to link content, associate content to the nodes. In this case, what we currently have is just like a fancy to-do list. We could even call that a to-do tree. At some point, you will need to add content, like maybe you have a bug on a given code and you need to describe the bug and even use some snippets and code excerpts for your bug, and you want to actually be able to have syntax and content. Mind currently supports two ways of doing this: data nodes and link nodes. Let's dig into data nodes. So a data node can be anything. It can be a node that has children. It can be a leaf node, so basically a node that doesn't have any children. It can even be the root node. Any node can be a data node. And what a data node is very easy to understand. It is just a node associated with a file. And when I say that, I mean a file on the file system. However, Mind will automatically generate the file for you. The location of that file depends on the kind of the tree. In my case, I have a main tree, so the file will be created on the main persistent location, and I will explain all of that later in the video. If you have a different kind of tree, it will be probably stored on a different site. Also, the name of the file is going to be picked and decided by Mind, and I'm going to explain why right now. Let's create in the backlog a node to talk about data nodes, talk about nodes operation. We are done with this, and we're going to move this one in whip. To turn a node into a data node, you just have to press return on a node. So if I press return on this node, you can see that it has opened a file for me, and you see this file marker right next to the node name. The node is now green, and it has opened this markdown document with the name of the node as a heading, and this is all of that can be configured. I will explain that in the configuration part of the demo, but here I can already start typing what I want. So talking about what data nodes are and what you can do with. Right. If you look at where that file is located, it is currently located as the tmp mind and data directory, and it has this like this prefix, which is actually the timestamp, and then the rest is composed of the name of the node with a bit of sanitized operation on it. Why do we have this timestamp? It is because initially I wanted to ensure that if you have two nodes with the same name, they're not going to open the same file. Imagine that inside your backlog you have a fixed bug, about, I don't know, service A. I have found a bug about service A, it's super nasty. Alright, you say that, and then maybe a couple of hours later you have another bug on this one, so you just do fix bug about service A, and then it's a different file. And the reason why it's a different file is because of the timestamp. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see that the timestamp is different. So here it's 7:14 and here it's 7:29. It means that you don't have to think about name clashing and stuff like that. Another kind of node that you're going to be interested with is the concept of a link node. So a link node is similar to a data node, but instead of associating a data file on the file system with your node, it's going to associate it with a link, like a URL, and that URL will be open inside your browser when you enter the node. The idea is simple. A link node is a node that has a URL link associated with. It doesn't have a file associated with. And once you enter the node, once you try to press return on the node, instead of opening a file, it will open the link inside your browser. So to make a node a link node, you just press the U key, and you can see this prompt asking for the link. So in my case, I'm going to use my own website, which is phazon.net. And then you can see that it turned green again, and you have this link, this chain icon next to it. Now, if you put your cursor on it and you press return, it opened my website. And I think that this is the right moment to talk about fuzzy searching. You can do it with the tree open or not. In my case, I have a key binding, so I will explain all the commands that I use for that a bit later. But in order to do that, in my case, I press the leader key and then M for mind, and then I press S for search. And as you can see, it opened this view where I have the link node here. So if I press return on that one, it is going to open it is going to open that node, or if I that URL, and if I press return on this one, it's going to open the associated file with this, right? And then if I go on the link, it will open the link in Firefox for me. Another cool feature of Mind, and I think is quite important, is as you progress through writing nodes, you might at some point need to reference nodes from one to another. As I mentioned, Mind is not about syntax and content, so I cannot provide stuff like back references and things like that, but I can still provide direct links. We can add some Mind open main, and let's say we'd like to add another node.
So let's create nodes for nodes, and here I'm going to create a very important node.
Okay. And then let's open that node using the fuzzy searcher. All right, so let's add the link inside this node, inside this file, I should say. So here, here, the link. So I'm using a key binding here. I'm going to explain which one I'm using. It doesn't really matter. You can use the one you want. And here you can see that I can get a link to any kind of node. So either a data node here, so you have two, or a link node. You can even use a link node. In my case, the one that I want is a very important node. And you can see that the link is copied, and then if I press P, the link is there. And then I can edit this thing. Yes. And I can save it. Another thing that you might be interested with is you don't need to use the fuzzy searcher to get a link to a given node. You can also move inside your view, and so for instance, you can go on this node and you can press the L key, and it will tell you the link was copied, and then you can paste it there. Same thing. All right, so because we started talking about fuzzy search, let's talk a bit more about all the stuff that you can do with the fuzzy searcher. We have already seen that you can open link or a data file with it, and we can also do the same thing with links. Something that might be useful is when you're working on some code and you think of something, like you think that you need to do something, and you would like to add this ID to your backlog. So you can do that by opening the main tree here. So I'm not going to use this command anymore. I'm going to use my key binding for it. And I can go in backlog and I can do do this important stuff. All right, but I'm going to show you a much more efficient way of doing this. So let's delete this and let's close the view. I'm working on this document and I think, oh, I need to do that. There is a key binding that allows you to fuzzy search a node and then enter the description for the node you want to be created inside that node. So let's show you how it works. I press my key binding, and then it tells you pick a node to create a new node in. So I want to create a node in the backlog, and then it asks me for the name of the node. So a super important thing to do, and then you're back to working on your document. So this is quite similar to what you would get in org mode with the capture mode. You just don't have the content currently created. It's just like something you need to think of. If you want to edit the content of the node you just created, you need to search it again. But the way it works currently is, in my case, I don't do that because I only list the nodes that have data associated with either data file or URL node. So I need to open the view. I think I'm going to add a configuration to automatically jump to the node when you create it. So when I do that, pick a node where you want to create, so in the backlog, and then here when you enter something, currently it doesn't jump to the content of the file. I will add probably an option to do that.